This is Phil Smith in the Bicycle and Pedestrian Office for the City of Missoula. Welcome to our traffic series, in which we'll be looking at 5 parts, covering why do we have so much traffic and can we ever have less, some bicycle and pedestrian issues, traffic on residential streets, and what can we do to keep up the condition of our streets. Missoula, as you well know, has had a tremendous increase in the number of cars we've got, the number of people who live here, and put those two together, and more people going more places and making our streets more congested. In this series, we'll be looking at some of the issues that surround it and what we can do about it. The first one of these is looking at why do we have so much traffic. We'll have several of our residents telling what they see as the reason for so much traffic, and some of the staff in our planning office explaining why do we have so much increase and whether there's some opportunity in the future to do anything about this as a long-term picture.
I suppose people joining us here, people coming here to live.
Missoula. Yeah, I think it's all Missoula. I don't think it's a lot of it's students, a lot of it's even when there's not students, we seem to have a lot of traffic. So I'd say it's just Missoula's growing a lot. I really believe Missoula's growing, and you know, as a city grows, so does the streets got to grow. So.
Well, you got all those shopping malls and so forth out there, so you're drawing traffic from the outlying area. I mean, if you go to a parking lot outside, and I was outside there about, say about 2 weeks ago in Walmart, and just as a matter of interest, I said I'd have a look at the old registration plates. I'd say for every one Missoula registered car, there was about 4 from outside of Missoula. Now that may have been just on that day, I don't know. So basically what you have is Reserve Street and all that area becoming a big retail area, and it's drawing traffic from an outlying area, from all the outlying areas, and it's causing kind of chaos.
Well, I think that there's a lot of people that's come into the valley recently. I've been here since 1990, and the population is a lot larger than it used to be. But then the planning, seems to be a little bit it's not keeping up with the population growth. I was out on Reserve yesterday, and the traffic was backed up for probably a couple of miles. It was so bad. So it seems like whoever's putting together the planning isn't really looking at, you know, how best to channel all this additional population.
Nobody's fault, it's just people moving to Missoula. More cars. We need other ways to get around town.
Well, there's people moving here, people coming. I don't know where it's coming from, but there's a lot of people coming around here.
Half of these people must not be getting enough sleep at night because they seem like they're so distracted. And I've nearly been hit so many times in this crosswalk. People will just make left turns. They don't even slow down. They're coming through here at 35, 40 miles an hour over the speed limit, and they don't even slow down. And, you know, they act like you're in their way.
Missoulians drive about 1.5 million miles a day. That's in the Missoula area and in the valley. And our current traffic model projects that amount is going to increase to almost 2 million miles a day by the year 2015. That 1.5 million miles a day that we drove into the year 2000 represents Missoulians driving around the world more than 50 times in a day, just to give you some perspective on it. So we drive a lot, and there's a lot of reasons for it. It's useful to look at some national data because I believe Missoula has followed a lot of those trends. And one of the reasons we drive more is that more of us own cars than ever before. In 1990, there was almost 1 registered vehicle for every household. The average number of persons per vehicle has decreased over time, again because of the increasing auto ownership. And we also drive our vehicles a lot longer than we used to. You see a lot of us driving older vehicles around. On Reserve Street, we have an example of traffic growth on that street that has exceeded what all our models have told us would happen. For example, our 96 transportation model indicated that we would be seeing traffic volumes in the range of 27,000 vehicles a day in the year 2000. Our 2000 counts show traffic volumes of 35 to 37,000 vehicles a day on that street. Almost a 20 to 40% increase over what we had expected. We are in the process of updating that model now, and we'll rerun those projections. The primary reason for the traffic growth exceeding what we expected in that area was the development of the huge the big box stores that have occurred, the Costco's, the Walmarts, Home Depots, which are tremendous trip generators, and everybody in Missoula wants to go there and back, and they have to use their car to do it for the most part.
Anything done to get people to drive less?
No,
That's not a possibility.
I don't think so. You know, people just like to drive, and they're gonna ride some bikes, but I don't think that's gonna be a cure-all.
They're not going to give up their cars. We've got too much into this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we've got too much what?
We've had this way of life that we won't give up our cars.
Yeah.
What would it take for me not to drive my car? To have a bike. That'd be the number one thing. I don't own a bike in this town, and I don't understand why. But
someday you will.
But someday.
Well, I don't know what you do, except to provide better parking, I guess. Maybe a parking garage or something like that. I don't know.
It's true that some people expect that congestion can be solved by building bigger and better roads, and in fact it can, but building bigger and better roads will simply encourage more people to drive and use the roads. What needs to be done is there needs to be development of an intermodal transportation system. Not only build bigger and better roads to accommodate the cars, but also provide transit and alternative transportation means that people can get out of their cars and reduce congestion that way as well. Reserve Street's an example of an area that's built to a scale that requires you to use an automobile to get around. There is very little pedestrian-friendly areas to use, and you're going to have to drive from one big box store to the other. That's the way it's set up, and that's the way it's designed. Traffic has increased so much because population has increased. You know, there's some sprawl. You know, population grows. People are going to look for places where they can buy affordable land to build houses, and so we've seen that in Missoula, sprawling out into the countryside. That means that people have to drive more to get into town and get to work and where they need to be.
In this program, you've seen what many Missoula residents believe are reasons for having so much traffic in Missoula. Probably their comments echo your own experiences. You've also heard some of our city staff say why they think traffic is as it is and what we can do about it. Perhaps after seeing all of this, you'll have some ideas yourself about what can we do to reduce the amount of traffic and congestion that we'll have into the future. Take the responsibility on yourself to implement some of those ideas. Feel free to call the city and the planning office or the Public Works Department. Thanks for watching.